to Dilatory Stories, where we interview interesting people and business owners. Today we have with us a fellow podcaster, Jakob Daniel.
I'm sorry. That was a great intro. Hey, my name is Jakob Daniel. I am the host and creator of Podnastics. It is a gymnastics podcast that I do with my co-host, Christian Marsh, where we bring Olympic and college level gymnasts on to talk their stories and tell us about what it means to be a gymnast. I've done a lot of podcasting over the years. I actually had a movie review podcast before I did Podnastics, which really helped me shape how you're supposed to edit and release podcasts. And this is actually the first time I have been a guest on someone else's podcast. Usually I'm the guy who's like, man, will you come on my podcast, please? I want to talk about Space Jam this week. And they'll look at me and be like, okay, we're going to be nice to Jakob again. So this is really exciting for me. I've known your co-host, Hunter, for years.
He's lying. I don't know this guy.
Oh, yeah?
I've never met this guy before.
I actually have a bone to pick with Hunter that I will get into after I very nicely explain how I've known Hunter. I've known Hunter since how old? It was 2017. How old were you in 2017? I think
19,
yeah.
I think you were 19 and I was 20. And I remember meeting Hunter and thinking like, dude, this guy is such a chotch. I can't remember why. I think I waved to you and you were too cool and turned around. And I think I was a counselor at a gymnastics summer camp and I turned to everyone. I go, this guy flipping sucks. And then I talked to Hunter later that day and I'm like, I love this guy. I've always been on Team Hunter. And Hunter's become one of my best friends over the years just because we have worked ropes course together. We've stayed connected over the years. And I was very surprised that Hunter started a podcast because years ago.
I didn't start a podcast.
You did it. You didn't start a podcast. You got in on the ground running.
He got in on the ground floor and he kind of just took over and established himself as the co-host.
It's good. Becoming a co-host is awesome because it's like, man, I don't really have to do any of the work.
It's like the assistant coach, man.
Yeah.
I'm the assistant coach.
You're the assistant coach. Like you went out and you texted me like, do you want to come on the pod? And I was like, yeah, man, I'll come on the pod. My schedule this week. I was working a video gig this week and I was trying to explain to Hunter that no, I can't just leave this property and go do this podcast with Heather. And Hunter's response was like, yeah, but why not?
Tell our viewers why you were 20 minutes late today.
I'll tell them why I'm 20 minutes late. I have known Hunter since we were about 20 years old. I am 27. You're 27 now.
Yeah.
I've never met Grant, but I'm very excited to get to know Grant. But yeah, so since I've known Hunter, like Hunter's catchphrase at Flip Fest Summer Gymnastics Camp is, my name is Hunter Crotch. I live right down the road in Clark Range. Hunter, I don't know if you know, but right down the road doesn't mean 30 minutes away.
How far is right down the road, Grant?
I mean, it does kind of here, 20 to 30.
And this is the difference between you kids who live in the middle of nowhere and a guy who lives from the suburbs. In the suburbs, if you say right down the road, that is 5 minutes away. That is not like a 30-minute drive.
Well, when there's nothing around, like Walmart, it's 25 minutes away.
Whose fault is that? Why don't you do something for your community?
It's right
5 minutes away here is more like you just say, be right there.
Yeah.
Or turning in.
Yeah, or right next door.
Yeah, you're already turning in. If you're 5 minutes away, you're already turning in.
Yeah, you're right next door.
Hunter cracks me up because I've known Hunter all these years and I've never been to Clark Range. And I was driving here and I'm like, yep, this is exactly what I thought. There's a brand new house on the left, and wow, that house is destroyed on the right. This place is awesome.
It's gentrification in Clark Range.
Hunter, be honest, you drove over here on your four-wheeler, didn't you?
I did, because I live right next door. See, right next door. That's like 2 minutes.
And you came over and you came on Grant's podcast, and then you're like, Grant, I really like the cut of your jib. I want to be your co-host. Come on. Come on, let me be a part of something.
I think it's because I lived right next door.
The impersonation is spot on.
It's just spot on.
Now, if I wanted to really do a Hunter impersonation, I'd do, well, I see what you're saying, Jake, but you need to calm down. I know I just got you into trouble, but who's at fault? And once again, Grant, I'm very excited to get to this podcast, but I do have to give Hunter a little shit because... Once again, I've known Hunter for a good chunk of my life now, and we used to run the ropes course together, and whenever there was a problem, it was very quickly my fault when it wasn't my fault. Hunter, shout out to Andrew Reeves, Austin Monday, and Sam Ball, as they would always leave a mess or do something, and I, for some reason, was the ropes course wrangler. Like,
You were in charge, man. You were the head guy.
no, I look back on that time of my life and I go, these were some of the greatest moments of my life, and at the same time, I hate you, Hunter Crotch.
Yeah, Hunter's always been the kind of guy, he likes to cause the problems and the mischief and stuff, and then he wants to leave somebody else with the blame.
Then I just disappear.
Yeah, that's exactly how I would. So enough about Hunter Crotch. Grant, if you don't mind, I want to ask you a question real quick.
He's already turning it around on us.
So I do have a question, because I've listened to a couple of your podcasts, and I feel like I don't know if you've addressed it yet, but like, what made you want to start a podcast?
Just, I feel like in the local area around here, which you're a little farther out, but you're still local all the time in Crossville for all that you do over there. But I just feel like locally around here, there were a lot of interesting people and a lot of business owners and just a lot of people who had a good story to tell, and there wasn't anywhere for them to get that out there. I mean, yeah, they could tell somebody on Facebook, they could make a little post, or they could go on a radio interview, but a radio interview ain't going to let you sit and talk for an hour. And I just felt like there wasn't really a platform around here for that, and I just kind of wanted to start something. I love hearing people's stories like that, and kind of, learning from them, just learning about life from other people.
Well, that was one of the things I told Hunter I really liked, and I'm like, this reminds me of an old school radio hour where they would bring in like special guests from the exactly what you said, like just people that you wouldn't expect to have really great stories. You're listening to 97.9, The Clark. Now The Range.
That's great. That's going to be our new intro.
Yeah,
right?
that's instead of the music, you're just going to turn it to that.
Okay. That was my one question. Let me put that down. I'll give you a 5-second count so you can edit it better. But yeah, like I said, I'm very excited to be a guest. I've never gotten to be a guest on someone's podcast. I know I overran it real quick to give a little Hunter and Jake lore, but I'm here for any questions, and I'm here for a good time.
Well, let's just go back to the beginnings for you, though. Then you asked me why I started one. Why did you start? Not the Podnastics, but the movie review. Why did that come along?
So that started because and Hunter will tell you, I'm a huge movie guy.
Yeah, actually, not to interrupt you, but Hunter was actually telling me before, he's like, this guy can name any director, any producer, or any the cast of any movie you name. He said, just name one. He said he'll name it.
It's very true. I grew up loving film and loving animation. I'm from right outside of Atlanta, Georgia, where, growing up in the suburbs and all that, right near Atlanta, you knew about the film industry being there, but definitely over the past couple of years, it's really taken over. And like I said, early beginnings, I loved it. Blockbuster Video was my effing jam back in the day. Like, I go in there, premium menu. I was a premium member. I got to rent 3 movies at a time. Oh my gosh, the other kids, I'd be like, oh, only one movie? Yeah, I got Garfield and Garfield 2, Tale of Two Kitties. You loser. I've got the Garfield double feature. And then I'd pull out like, oh yeah, and I'm watching Goonies too. And through that, it's just, I love watching movies. And when I started the movie review podcast, it was during a very not bleak part of my life, but it was the first instance where, what am I doing? I graduated college. COVID was still kind of a thing. And I was working at Staples because I graduated during COVID. There was no job opportunities both in the film industry and the graphic design industry. They all kept saying the same thing. Hey, you seem like a good kid, but we really want older blood right now. And, I'd look at them and be like, yeah, well, F you too, loser. And I needed something to just get out there. And I had always joked that I was going to start a podcast. And I always did these little mini movie reviews with my friends that I would call Danny's Review Corner because my last name is Daniel. So with, a little inspiration in seeing a mic on sale at Staples, I started a movie review podcast, which was a lot of fun. Hunter did come on an episode. He didn't talk about movies or television. I started a whole different segment on my Jake's Review Corner podcast. I called it Casual Corner, so I could have my friend Hunter come on and talk movies, and he just didn't want to do that. All he wanted to do was talk his life.
Not a big movie guy. I told him that before we started the podcast.
No, you begged me to come on this podcast.
I told you I thought it'd be cool, but then when we were like movies, no, we couldn't talk. You didn't want to talk TV shows. Me and Andrew wanted to talk Outer Banks.
That's just not true, because I was the one who kept trying to segue it to Family Guy and Outer Banks, and you guys just wanted to, we like our four-wheelers, and we like Bush beer, and man, did you hear Riley Green's new song? He's singing about how he misses his beer and his grandpa. And yeah, that was awesome. I cut so much of that episode too, because I was trying to be like somewhat family friendly, and every 2 minutes, Andrew or you would say the F word, and I'd be like, you can't say that. I was like, I gotta cut that now. So, but while that one was mostly just for fun, it gave me an idea of where I wanted to go next. So I took about a year off of podcasting. I was still helping other people edit their podcasts, but like I said, or actually I never said it. I grew up being a gymnast. That's how I know Hunter is. We both worked at a gymnastics camp that I went to when I was a gymnast. And something about being a men's gymnast particular is it's just not really a sport that gets a lot of relevance in these days. Like, we get a boost every 4 years during the Olympics. Like, it's like, oh, this is awesome. I want to do men's gymnastics. I'm putting my kid in men's gymnastics. And you know what happens? A year goes by and everyone's like, I'm not putting my kid in men's gymnastics. Like, I don't give a shit about men's gymnastics. And that sucks. It is, without a doubt, one of the best sports in the world. I'm so glad that I grew up doing men's gymnastics, even though it definitely made me a 5'7" Jeremy Allen White, a little hobbit. But I noticed that there wasn't really any way to promote gymnastics. And I was like, man, what if I do a gymnastics podcast? Now, here's the problem is, while I loved gymnastics and I grew up being a gymnast, from a technical standpoint, I didn't really know how I would address certain gymnastic skills or other stuff. What I had was a large arsenal of knowing Olympians and gymnasts who have really done stuff with their careers. Once again, I'm going to plug Flip Fest real quick. If you have a son or daughter who is a gymnast, please send them to Flip Fest Summer Gymnastics Camp. It is without a doubt the best experience those kids can have. It was great for me, but I was like kind of thinking in my head, I was like, this could actually be something that could turn into something. The movie thing was mostly for me, but this would give people an opportunity to come on, tell their stories to an audience that wants to listen to them, and they can give a little bit words of wisdom and advice. So I was sitting one day and I was trying to think of a really good name for a gymnastics podcast. And then it like just hit me like a fan, Podnastics. And I was like, it's perfect. It's actually too good of a name to not use. And at one point I was thinking of just producing it. I was like, maybe I can get two hosts and I'll produce it. But then I thought that it wouldn't work, because the whole reason I'm getting these people the whole reason I would ever be able to get my friends to go on these podcasts is because I'm the host of it. So as soon as I got that terrible idea of anyone else hosting my podcast out of the way, I waited for a year. I thought about it, and I recruited one of my best friends, Christian Marsh, to come on and be my co-host. And he's been nothing but fantastic. He handles the technical side. I handled the social side. I edit the podcast. We both mutually run our social medias, or do it a little bit more, but he's getting there. Every once in a while, he'll be like, should I post this? And I'll be like, you go, sport. No, Marsh is great. He'll probably listen to this podcast. I literally could not do Podnastics without Marsh. And the podcast has gone great. We've had Olympian Jake Dalton on. We've had
solid dude.
One of the best guys I've ever met in my life.
Get to go fishing with him every summer. It's always a good time.
We've had Nia Dennis, Riley Luce, Alona Shinikova, Kaya Johnson, Jossie Moore. Oh my gosh, I hope I'm not leaving anyone out. I'm trying to think of people we've had. I've gotten to have two of my other really close friends, Gabe Fry and Connor Vanderboxler. I can never say his name right. But I've been able to have so many of my friends on to a podcast that means a lot to me already. And so
Those are LSU national champion. Right?
Yeah, Lona Shinikova and Kaya Johnson are natty champions. They did compete with Livy Dunn, which, I mean, if you're a guy in your 20s, you know who Livy Dunn is. Right. I follow her on TikTok. This voice I'm doing, I don't know why I'm doing this voice.
It's the nerve voice.
So you got Olympian, national champion, and then Gabe and Connor are on University of Iowa. Right?
Yes, they are on the Iowa GymAct team. And we do, I'll tease it right now to all your very big listeners out there. We do have more Olympians coming on. I've been working out some stuff with some new guests, more NCAA double champions. We're going to do more episodes based around gymnastics topics, more episodes really just around what is gymnastics. And this is a good example of why Marsh is so important to Podnastics, is because gymnastics, I didn't realize how often they changed the rules with judging and whatnot. Like this year for gymnasts, it has been incredibly hard to score like a perfect 10.
Right.
Like of all people, Livy Dunn literally went to social media and was like, why are the judges being so hard this year? Like, why can't anyone score a 10? Like, it's making it very hard to watch gymnastics. And she's right on that end. Like, people do want to tune in for good meets. I will admit, like, I do understand why judges are getting harder, because it's like at the same time, you can't give everybody a 10.
Yeah.
Or it gets harder to like make the 10 a big deal. Because back in the day, if you had a perfect routine and you got a 10, like that's the highlight of your career.
Well, I guess it's like golf, basketball, backing up 3-point line. Mm-hmm. You know, golf. They make courses harder every year.
Yeah,
they try to make it harder and harder.
I was gonna say, like, imagine you shot a basketball and you got 2 points, but someone shot the same basketball and they gave you 3 points. You know, like you gotta earn the 10. You gotta shoot from the 3-foot line. You know? That's what I'm saying. Sorry.
Jacob's not a basketball.
No, I understand what he's saying. No, you must have been off. He made sense.
Hey, you be quiet right now, because I played Pee-wee basketball until the 6th grade, and I wasn't going to say anything, but I am a 6th grade champion. We got second, you know, and I was the shortest guy out there.
Point guard.
No, I was the rebounder, and my dad was the coach, and I think at a young age he probably looked at me and was like, "Son, you're not going to the major leagues.
It's not working out.
You're just too damn small."
So what's the gymnastics podcast space look like? Is there like a lot of competition with like podcasts or what?
So that was another reason I started it, because it's really not that big. There is, to my knowledge, there's another podcast. It's called Gymnastic, and I've never listened to the episodes, but I know their host has been doing it for a minute. There's a couple, to be honest, to be fair, to make sure that I was keeping Podnastics in its own kind of universe and kind of its own style, I've never listened to another gymnastics podcast, because I wanted to make sure when we did it that it remained very much unique and very much, it would be like if I was trying to do Podnastic Joe Rogan style. I wanted to make sure we had our own voice, and that's nothing against Gymnastic or anything. I bet it's a great podcast. I mean, she's been doing it forever, and I unfortunately don't know her name. But I think when you do a podcast, one of the most important things is like, this is going to be unique because it's what I'm doing, and I don't want to do, like, you know, when I did the movie review corner, that was a little bit of like, this is me and my friends reviewing movies. And you can definitely go an original route with that. Now, with me and my friends at the time, it was kind of basic. It would be like, hey, you're listening to Jake's Review Corner. We'd review the movie. We would talk about it. And that would be the whole episode. And there's so many other ways you can do it. You can do a very basic way like that, or you can go even deeper and you can talk about like the director and why the cinematographer did what they did. With a gymnastics podcast and a sports podcast, you have so many opportunities too. You can just recap a game and be like, the Braves won 10-0, or you can get technical and you can be like, do we think, you know, if the other team would have stolen this base, or, you know, you can talk about the sport in a greater depth. But with Podnastics, it was very important to me that we gave gymnasts a opportunity to get to tell their stories. Because like I said, men's gymnast, more than any other and I was going to say any other sport, but there are definitely some sports that don't, that are even, I hate to say it, there are sports even out there that still don't get the recognition they deserve. But for me, being a men's gymnast, I know it is very hard for people to kind of take a minute to really look at you and hear your story. And there's been so many surprising people who have come on the pod, like Jake Dalton. Jake Dalton is a 2-time Olympian men's gymnast. He didn't start gymnastics till he was like 10 or 12. In the gymnastics space, if you're a kid starting, you start at like 4. I started gymnastics when I was like 3 years old, and I did till I was 17. And there's a lot of people who come in a little later and like just crush it. There was a kid who me and Hunter worked with a couple of years ago. His name is Timothy Templeton. I'm not making that up. He started gymnastics at like 15, and now he's going to Cirque.
Yeah.
So
he's a stud.
But like, and no offense to you, Hunter, like I don't think at 15 you could have started gymnastics, or Grant, like if you came into a gym and you're like, I want to learn how to do a giant, I think you would have like probably gone up the bar and then died.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But that's like any sport now. I feel like any sport, if you really want to be at the top, you have to start when you're 4 or 5 now. Because if you don't, you're behind.
Yeah.
And it takes somebody. Once you get behind, it takes somebody with just special genetics. They just got to be built different to catch up.
Yeah. So definitely to end that question, Hunter, I think the reason that I did Podnastics is because I want to give an outlet to people. And maybe I also saw that it was a very niche market and I wanted to capitalize on it. That's right. Sponsor me.
There's definitely, there might be other gymnastic podcasts out there, but there's none with as cool of a name. That Podnastics name. Me and my wife was talking about that. Even she said, that's a great name.
I know. I looked at John Roethlisberger and I told him, I was like, John, let me get your opinion about this. If there was a gymnastics podcast called Podnastics, would you listen to it? And he goes, that's a good name. Actually, dude, he's my gosh, I know I'm telling my lore out of order, but the owner of the gymnastics summer camp me and Hunter worked at, there's 2 of them. It's John Roethlisberger and John McCready. And I love them to death. They've been like uncles to me my whole life. They have given me so many opportunities and have mentored me in so many ways. I'm going to be so honest. I never thought they would listen to my podcast. Roethlisberger has listened to some of the episodes.
Really?
Yeah. He specifically thinks it's funny that Marsh is like super into anime.
Roethlisberger would be like a big time guest. I mean, I don't know if you got it coming and you don't want to, spoil anything, but like
I will say
he would be
that
huge.
With our podcast, we usually stick to doing 30 to 40 minutes episodes, just because we kind of like bite-sized episodes. I think you guys usually go a little longer, which I totally respect because you can do longer episodes and you can do shorter episodes. I did tell Roethlisberger, I'm like, hey, if you come on the pod, you can have as much time as you want. He's a 3-time Olympian, dude. Like,
and he's like had that career, owns Flip Fest, and he's the Olympics. He does all the commentating.
Why haven't you got on here yet?
I was just about to say, have you not asked for him to come on yet?
I mentioned it to Hunter because he talked about him all the time. I was like, why don't you try to get one of them on there?
Well, he was at the SEC championship the other day commentating. Like he commentates for the SEC, like everything.
That's why I didn't ask him yet, is because he's been commentating. But I will tell you, I bet he would totally come.
No, he probably would. But he's in they live in Knoxville outside of the summer, and he's doing all the commentating. So I mean, he's a big fan.
Where is he this summer? He's in Crossville though.
I know,
right down the road.
Right down the road,
Grant. Right down the road. Just right down the road in Crossville, right beside the bucket.
We'd probably have to go mobile for John.
We could go mobile. Yeah. I've got the.
Well, this summer we can put it in the works.
Let me tell you what Hunter done.
Oh gosh,
Hunter. I don't know. We were talking about guests. And Hunter I don't know, he's just feeling good that day or what, but he promised me he could get Simone Biles on the podcast.
How are you going to get Simone Biles? How am I even going to get Simone Biles? Actually, I have a plan to get Simone Biles on my podcast. But
I said I could have potentially whenever they came and trained at Flip Fest that time, like because we talked to her and we said hello, and
but that was years ago, Hunter.
I know, but still,
she's never coming back to
like if she that's what I told him. Like if she pops in and they're training, like you got to get here and we got to do this thing.
Yeah, he said if she showed up or something out there, he said I get her.
I know it was years ago, but like, dude, if she comes back, I mean, the Team USA came and trained there a few years ago.
One time we were going in and out the same door together, and I said hey to her.
And then she said, hey. And I was like, it's nice to meet you. She said,
Yeah.
you too.
When I was a kid, I remember meeting Sean Johnson for like the first time. And I said, hi, Sean. And she goes, hi. And I was like, wow. An Olympian. And like John Roethlisberger was right there, who I've known since I was like 9 years old, and it's also an Olympian.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know Sean, and I was a jet ski driver at the time. She got on the jet ski, and everybody was like looking at me like, oh man, better be careful. Mm-hmm. And I was like, what's going on? So I finally pull back in, and she gets off, and they're like, you know who that was? I'm like, no idea. And they're like, that was Sean Johnson.
If it makes you feel better, and I will admit it, and I've admitted it on the Podnastics before, I also have gymnastics blindness. Like, if you tell me someone is like a really good gymnast, I will be like, I didn't know that. I remember meeting my friend Caitlin Ohashi for the first time at camp, and I thought she was just a coach. And so I was like explaining camp to her and like helping her get her stuff to her cabin. And I was like, oh, okay, is this your cabin? She goes, no, it's the big one. I was like, why would they give a coach the big cabin? She goes, because I'm the special guest. And I was like, wow, I didn't expect that. And I like kind of threw her bags in. I was like, all right, bye. Yeah. Dude, I'm so giddy. All right, Grant, ask some questions. Come on.
We were talking about the episode links there. Would you like to have a podcast where you go longer, or is that just kind of your style right there?
So,
like if you were going to have a different podcast.
If I was going to have a different podcast. So here's the thing, is the movie reviews used to be close to like an hour. And we would get in and we really talk about scenes and we make jokes. And I liked doing them, but I think with the interview format we have, the 30 to 40 minutes just helps to like keep it going in a very fluent way. There's no stress. It's not like we're poking the bear. Sometimes we'll have guests on, and even when we tell them what the show's about, they still don't really know what to say. So it takes us a minute to get them comfortable. It also just allows us, I think the 30 to 40 minute thing with gymnast guests worked great. Like Jake Dalton came on, and I love Jake to death. He's a really great guy, but I remember he came on and I thought he'd be like, getting to the Olympics was like one of the hardest things I've ever done with my life. And I was like, Jake, take it away. And he goes, I am Jake Dalton. I'm a 2-time Olympian and I coach gymnastics. And then he paused and I was like, oh shit, like that's all he's going to say. And then I had to like poke it out of it. I was like, okay, tell us about when you were a child. Come on, talk, dang it. So I think when you're doing a podcast, it's super important to just set a stage so they know what they're getting into. Like today, I had an idea of what this was going to be because I've listened to your podcast. You bring people on, you get talking, you do some fun little side quest conversations, you answer questions, you wrap it up. It's a great time. And I know you guys, indigestion. I know you guys go between about an hour to even like, what was your longest episode? You had the Monday sisters on for like 2 hours.
Yeah, they went like 2 hours and 15. I've had a couple like.
Well, that's not fair because one had to talk and then the other did too.
I've had a couple like 2 hours and 15, but we done that one episode that protect our trailer parks, we called it. And that one went 4 hours and 15 minutes.
Yeah, we got carried away.
What?
Yeah, we got carried away.
Has that one been posted?
Yeah, that's
Chase Fowler's in that one.
And that's 4 hours?
4:15.
Wow.
We started at
also,
like 10 o'clock at night.
Chase Fowler is not a name I've heard in forever.
Right?
Hi, lifeguard Chase Fowler.
It was, what'd you say, what time did we start?
We started that one at like 10 o'clock at night.
And then, like, by the time all the bathroom breaks and everything, it was like 2 o'clock in the morning.
Well, yeah, because like you get to like 12 and you're probably like, okay, shots. Like, who needs another beer? And Hunter's like, yeah, I'm starting to worry that our small town is getting overrun with non-locals. Like. It's like,
we did not talk about that.
I think he did say that, actually. I think that's on there.
I know what a Hunter thinks.
Go listen to find out if you haven't listened to that one.
Grant's probably over here and he's like, I'm just here for a good podcast. And Hunter like sits in the corner and he's like, I don't like Buc-ee's. Like,
No, Hunter now he's a teacher now, so he's like he sits over in the corner. He's like, hope nobody cusses.
Yeah.
Hope nobody my kids will listen to this one.
Stop saying bad words, Jacob. Golly.
Whatever. You told me I could say bad words.
We can say whatever we want to.
Yeah, I don't care.
That's another thing too. Like I don't know. I kind of done the podcast for me too. Like I just like to do it. It's just fun.
It's a good time,
You
man.
just have a good time, and that's why. And you just make it your own. Like I can, if I want to say whatever I want to say on here, I'll say it.
Just do it.
And
Well-
if somebody else wants to say whatever they want to, it's like whatever.
Well, and it's like it goes back to what we talked about at the beginning. I think what's nice about what you're doing, you're opening up your podcast to your community to come on and to listen to, and people want to hear this stuff. Like I didn't grow up, but I spent the majority of my summers in Crossville. I know this area. I know Clark Range a little bit. I've never been to Hunter's house. It's whatever. I guess I would call Hunter one of my best friends. I've never been to Hunter's house. But I do love Crossville, and there is a part of me that has recently I don't, in no way do I hate Crossville. I love this town. But there is just something where it's changing so much. For me, Crossville always felt like a town that was perpetually stuck in 2003. You know, I spent my summers going to the movie theaters with my coworkers. We would travel up to Cookeville and we would go like swim in Waterloo and go to what's the other place?
Ozone Falls.
We would go to Ozone Falls. What was Cummings Falls?
Oh, Cummings Falls.
Cummings Falls. And, you know, we would go to like the really bad Chinese buffets, and it was just a good time. It's a small town that has a lot of love to give around this area. But recently, and not to be that guy who doesn't like change, but it's like the Buc-ee's has definitely, I think, brought in new eyes.
Yeah.
These are people who are like, I didn't realize Crossville has all this land. You know, there's more houses being built. Going to Waterloo, like Waterloo is now owned by someone. Like you have to buy a water pass to go to Waterloo. You got to buy a water pass to go to Cummings. Like back in the day, you just showed up. You went swimming.
It's modernizing.
It's changed a lot.
There is a Chick-fil-A in Crossville, Tennessee.
And there's a Starbucks. now, too.
There's a Starbucks in Crossville, Tennessee.
There's all kinds of coffee places.
Yeah, there's so many.
I'm telling you right now, if I've ever seen two things that don't belong in Crossville, it's a Chick-fil-A and it's a Starbucks. If you wanted Starbucks, where did you go before
I
that?
had to go all the way to Cookeville.
No, you went to Kroger.
I was gonna say you go inside Kroger.
Yeah, there was one inside Kroger.
You had to go to Kroger, man. And it's like one of those where I love this town so much. And it's one of those things where I get it. Business is good. But like, I think my heart would break if I saw one of those shops that have been around for like 10 years get closed down. Like, what's the sports store called? Dunham Sports?
Yeah.
Imagine if Crossville got a Dick's. Like,
That place is gone.
yeah, and I love Dunham's. First off, if you've never been to Dunham's, I always feel like they have the best prices. Way cheaper than Dick's. But of course,
Is Dunham's a Crossville thing, or is it? Is everyone? In
It's like a regional deal.
just kind of like in Eastern Tennessee. Middle-
Kentucky, I think.
yeah,
I have never seen a Dunham's in.
I don't think. I don't think they're.
I think there's some in Kentucky too. There's not like a whole lot of them.
Yeah, not many.
So that was a bad example. But
What about like you're talking about like express lunch?
yes, oh my gosh, could you imagine if
Have you ever
like
been there, Grant?
That closed down.
But yeah, go ahead.
like everything in downtown Crossville. Okay, here's a great example. The movie theater's gone, dude.
Yeah, it's a church now.
Yeah, I mean, and like, you know, I know it's Sunday and everything, so I want this to be taken with a grain of salt. I love that movie theater.
Yeah.
Do you know one time I went to go see a movie there and there was a tornado warning and they told me that I had to go stand in the hallway and I wasn't allowed to watch the movie? Do you know what I did? I went right back in the theater. I was like, I did not pay $9 to see Ant-Man and the Wasp and not get to finish it. If a tornado takes me out, I want to watch the movie.
The drive-in still in Sparta.
I know Sparta, but like, dude, could you like? It's something where I get it. Like, it's such a capitalized thing. Like, it's like, dude, it's so great. We're getting more business. We're getting more people coming to this town. But it's all, for me, nostalgically, I love Crossville because of the vibe. You know, it's just like, it's a small town. Like, it's a town where it's like, we're out of school. Where are we going? Walmart parking lot. You know?
Yeah, pretty much.
It's coming, like we were talking about, it's coming up though. And I think what I always tell people is Crossville is becoming Cookeville. and Cookville is becoming Murfreesboro.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's true.
And then Clark Range will become CrossFit.
I had to go drop a buddy off at the airport. I was driving, right, and I know Cookville, so it's like I'm not looking for anything, and I see it out of the corner of my eyes. I see a Raising Cane's.
Yeah.
And I immediately go, that was not there.
It wasn't.
Stop. They're capitalizing on my towns.
Yeah, no, that's definitely new.
But that, like, it's
being right off the interstate too for Crossville. I don't know why. It didn't
Watch
blow
out.
up on
Clark
time.
Rains is next. It's going to be the really nice house, the rundown house, and then a Chick-fil-A right behind it.
Well, you know, the old story goes way before our time when they were first building the interstate there. They had originally planned to come up through Monterey and come through Clark Range.
For the interstate?
Yeah, for
Really?
the interstate, because that was like a lot shorter route to go to Knoxville.
Oh, wow.
And I guess like all the people around here and maybe Morgan County too or something, they were all against it. And they
So they like voted on it?
yeah, they like got them to not do that, and so instead they went that way to Crossville, or Clark Range would be Crossville right now,
Well,
and Crossville would be Clark Range.
That's crazy.
Well, and it's crazy because, like, I think of Crossville pre-Buc-ee's too. First off, Crossville getting the Buc-ee's, and I know Buc-ee's are all over the United States now, but like that was such a big moment because me and Hunter went to the day opening of that Buc-ee's. I went 3 times. I dropped $100 on Buc-ee's merch. I kept leaving, and I kept texting Hunter. I was like, I walked in with nothing, and I'm leaving with a sweatshirt and a t-shirt. I don't know how they got me.
FlipFest staff loves Buc-ee's.
It's true. We live on Buc-ee's, dude. I eat up that beans, tater tots, and cheese burrito whenever I can get it.
And the brisket
But
sandwich.
like, do you remember the store that was there before that? It was like a little sports store.
Yeah, a long time ago. You remember that? It used to be a
Yeah.
golf store, like a golf.
And then it had like a little bookstore there too.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like that's forget Dunham's. I'm done bringing up Dunham's. I'm bringing the original sports store back in the conversation.
gosh, that place.
You can't even remember the name because it's been overtaken by a beaver.
And then they had all the stuff in the mall too. Now the mall.
Oh, the
no more.
mall, yeah.
Oh my gosh, I just found out about the mall this week. If you didn't know, Crossville had an outlet mall that was so funny because of there was a church in there, there was a Rack Room Shoes, and they had the best Cuban restaurant.
Yes.
That place was good.
It's called Abuela's. And
They moved downtown and then they like
No, I think
they've moved 500 times.
They moved again, but I think they moved back. I think they're in like a food truck now.
just
I'm
going
pretty
mobile.
sure.
Okay. That place was good.
Oh, it's
gosh,
great.
The yuca fries, dude, they were better. I remember me and my friends went there once, and I kind of zoned out because of how good the loaded yuca fries was, and they were like kept trying to talk to me, and I was like, "What?"
The mall was nice though.
Yeah, now it's like a camper place,
Yeah.
and it's
It
got
is.
like a bounce house place in it, and then nothing else.
It's got
I
that
remember
big church still. Or
there-
did that church move to the movie theater?
Yeah, that's the
Revolution?
movie theater church. Yeah.
Yeah. That place looks awesome now. Here's my question about that. It was Rocky Top 10, right?
Yes,
That's what it was called?
yes.
Wasn't that what it was called in Crossville? Yes. There's 10 movie theaters. What? What's so funny? Do you not know where I'm going with this?
No, just keep talking.
What's
Why?
No, I just have a question about the movie theater in the church.
Okay, ask it. Why are you talking to
You're
me?
smiling.
I just
So there's 10.
Hunter don't even want men to smile around here. Hunter wants you to be stoic when he's talking.
So there's 10.
I'm
there's
talking.
10
I'm listening.
He's the Kim Jong Un of
Listen, serious
podcast.
question.
Oh my God.
It's a church now. There's 10 movie theaters. The movie theaters are built, like the theater part, are built at a slant on a ramp, right? So what did they do with those 10 buildings, like 10 rooms?
they for sure carved it out, and I bet they kept like the biggest theater they had, and
and
made
that's
that.
their main.
Well, I don't know. I've never been in there, but I pictured him, and I don't know. This is kind of stupid to picture. Now, like,
See, but you thought about
this
it.
is going to be stupid to sound stupid when I say it, but in my head, it sounded like what I would do if I had a mega church in a theater. I was thinking you took like the biggest theater, and that's where you built a stage.
Theater.
Yeah. And that's where you built the stage at.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're in the big one, and you got the righteous gemstones up here on stage.
Dude, I was just about to make a righteous gemstone joke.
Yeah, I was going to make one earlier, and I didn't. But
It's
anyway,
time for Baby Billy's Baba Bunkers.
we'll get into righteous gemstones in a minute if we want to.
Yeah, we will.
But so I pictured him like having that and then broadcasting it to the other ones in the theater. Like you go and sit in like you're watching a movie.
Yeah.
And so it's going on in this theater, but it's broadcast to the rest of them.
That's kind of
That, and you know what? When I thought about it, I was also thinking of something like that. But yeah, I want to go back to that movie theater real quick. And real quick, I think, I think it is nice that it got converted into a church. It is still it's a big enough facility that can definitely fit people. For me, Rocky Top 10 was one of the last great small town movie theaters for a couple of reasons. One, you couldn't pre-save your seat. You had to show it gave you such a nostalgic vibe for movies. Like, you had to show up early to get your seats, which nowadays you don't have to do that. You get on your phone and you just go, okay, I want that seat.
I did not know that.
Yeah, that I seen that a lot. But I didn't know that until just the other day either.
Because you live in the middle of nowhere.
I seen it like somebody doing that on TikTok or something. I was like,
Yeah.
what the fuck are
Nowadays,
these people
that's
doing?
crazy.
I was like, this is the craziest shit I've ever seen.
So now you just reserve your seats. And so for me, it's like, here's a good example. I'll tell 2 stories. I went on a date. I actually went on a date at that movie theater with a girl. And I had to tell her we had to get there early. And she's like, no, we don't. Like, the movie doesn't start. Like, can't you just reserve seats? I'm like, no, we have to go to Will Call. And so we drove there first, got our tickets, went and ate at Romo's, and then came back. And we went and we saw Top Gun Maverick. And I was like, okay, let's hope we get in there. She's like, dude, we'll be fine. We walk in there. It's slammed. And I see 2 seats. I see an old couple going for them. And I look at her.
I don't like where this is going.
No. I go.
Jacob do anything to watch this movie.
I literally was like, okay. Like, I told her, I was like, I'll be right back. And I ran up and I cut across a family to sit in the seat first. And then I went, all right, come on. Get over here. And this old man looked at me so dirty. And I just kind of like, I put my hand up. I went, sorry. And oh my gosh, dude, movie was great. But I just think about the fact that I like raced an old man and his wife to get a movie.
What movie was it?
It was Top Gun Maverick. Oh. And then the following summer, no, it was the same summer, we went and saw Thor: Love and Thunder. And this story is really funny because, once again, like, we went to go see it in a group, which meant like we were going with 10 people. And so we had to get there 30 minutes early, and we went in and there were still like so many people filing in, and then we had to save seats. Like, we had to put our hands down. We're like, no, we're saving this seat because we were waiting for our friend J2 to show up. J2 went to the wrong showtime. He went to the 7:00 showtime when we were 7:30. And so, because there was such bad cell reception, he was in there trying to save 8 seats.
What?
And then we finally met up with him afterwards. I'm like, where were you? And he goes, I watched the movie. Where were you guys?
So y'all never showed up to there?
No, we just met up with him afterwards. But it's like, dude, as a movie lover, you have to understand why those moments are so great. Like, there is a nostalgic to going to the movie theater, not getting to pick your seat. Like, getting
That's
there.
part of the experience.
I know, and just nowadays, especially in Georgia, and I don't know how they do it over here near the college towns and everything, but in Knoxville, like, I went and saw Sinners again for the second time. If you haven't seen Sinners yet, you have to. It is one of the best movies I've seen in a minute. You can just pre-buy your seats. You know, there is a little bit of that original feeling to movies that we are losing because you can just pre-buy. And look, I'm not complaining, okay? Like, I'm all about it. Give me a movie theater that lets me, like, extend my seat back,
I was about to say the seats.
lay down.
Have you seen that?
Put my arms up, and I'm like,
Yeah, I've seen that.
Oak Ridge. Have you been to that?
We need to take him out for a movie at Jamestown.
Oh, man. You want nostalgia.
That's what I was about to say. He's talking all this nostalgia.
2 theaters.
$3 tickets.
2 theaters. That's
are these
$5 tickets, something like that.
Are these new movies? Or
Yeah,
are they,
Yes.
no,
Like
new
the top
movies.
2 movies
Like, they're probably
that are
playing
out.
Sinners out there
Yeah.
right now or whatever.
Like
That-
Sinners and then like a kid movie.
Yeah.
Normally
Yeah.
what they
There's
do.
usually an adult and a kid.
And I love those types of movie theaters. When I'm up here this summer, we should totally do that.
Yeah,
That
we
sounds-
should.
Oh, yeah.
We'll do a movie review on here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, they got 2 theaters. They've got
They got 2 theaters. I'm so sorry, Grant. The difference in a southern guy and a suburb guy is crazy right now.
But pinball machines, I don't know. I haven't been out there in a long time, but
That's awesome.
they had old pinball machines in there and claw machines and just
Yeah.
old, like a little corner over there.
That's what I mean. There's such a beauty to small towns, man.
Takes
And,
you
like,
back in time a little
and that's
bit.
why I love it, because once again, I'm from the suburbs of Atlanta. You know, like, I grew up in a town where it's like, if you walked outside your door, I hate to say it, like when you were a kid my age, you were fine, which is crazy because if I was a father now, I would not let my daughter or son go anywhere.
Right.
People are creeps.
Yeah.
I was like, back in the day, like if I was at the park and someone asked me a question, I would answer it. If I was a father nowadays, I would have pepper spray. Yeah. I'd be like, get away from my child. And like, you know, it's just, and I pepper spray another 10-year-old. I'm like, back off. No, it's just like, Crossville, and like I'll go back to Crossville, and what I like about Caloric Range too is it's like the small town vibe is so nice about it, and that's what I actually really admire about your podcast is you're giving people a chance to not only come on and talk about who they are, but it also shows the community elements a little bit, you know. Hunter's a great example. I've known Hunter for years. He's always talked about basketball. He is now a basketball coach. If Hunter has not told you about his basketball camp, Ball In, we will definitely have to get in on that because
let's get in on. He didn't talk about it on his.
There's no plug in Ball In because it's a failed business.
It's a failed business because there was no plan, Hunter.
There was a plan, but I got a job. I got the job that I wanted. Sam, he moved back to Nashville.
The plan was to make the idea and then make one marketing video and scam people out of their money.
No, nobody
that wasn't the plan. That wasn't the plan.
Nobody signed.
No, really though, Hunter. I think he just he's so passionate about basketball. He just got so excited on the basketball side of it and then kind of let it get away from him on the business side of it.
Because no one signed up. We were going to make no money.
So I'll tell that story very quickly. Real quick, I want to go back and finish. Grant, I think the podcast is great. I like small towns. I'm definitely going to that movie theater. Let me go to Ball In real quick. The reason why Ball In didn't work, Hunter, is because...
Sam, are you listening? Hope you're listening.
I told Sam it too. It was such a good idea. And there was... You guys had a property. It would have been perfect. But like... You just didn't give, you guys, like, this is something where you have to give yourself a year. And I think as a business, as a proud business owner, a podcast, Podnastics LLC, I would know a thing or two. But no, Hunter wanted to do a basketball camp a couple of years ago, and it was genius. Like, he had the right idea. They had an all-star group of coaches and athletes coming. The problem is, they gave themselves a month.
The turnaround was a little much.
And I looked, and we did have a long conversation about what you guys could do next to market it better. And look, to succeed, you have to fail. And yeah, you did fail, and I know we all collectively give you some crap about it. But look, it's not like it was that bad of a failure. It's like, look, you sparked interest. You can still go back to what's better now is that you are a high school coach.
I have a resume.
And now you can go back to it. Yeah. And now you can get financiers like Grant.
I'm in. I was just about to say, Hunter, we need to start this up again.
Dude, Sam wants to. Like, we talk about it all the time.
Well, here's what I'm saying is like, what I told Hunter was what you need to do for a basketball camp or camp in general is, first off, advertising is so important. While I made them that video in a day, and I kept trying to tell Sam Ball, hey, we don't have to do this in one take. And Sam was like, we're doing it in one take. We spent 45 minutes for them to do it in one take, and I kept putting
dude.
I was like, Sam, just let me edit it. And Sam goes, you're not in control right now. This is a married man now. Good for you, Sam. No, but advertising is important, and I think you get your angel investor over here, Grant. This could be,
it could be something.
I think you got to take a pause right now at Ball In because that's not what this episode's about.
It's not time yet.
But you should definitely jump back to this at some point. I want to.
We had the facility though. The facility was, top notch. It would have been concrete floors, but still, we had a good idea with the facility and
I would have won that.
I
would have won that dunk contest.
The celebrity dunk contest.
Actually, I will say one more thing on Ball In, which was I told Hunter I made them their promo, which we did it on an iPhone because they had to get the promo out that night. We made it on an iPhone. I made it in less than an hour, and Hunter and Sam were like, "Okay, you did a good job, but we're just letting you know we don't know if you'll be the only videographer we bring." Like. We know you can shoot stuff, but
we was really just trying to piss him off.
Yeah, that's what I found out later. I found out they were like, yeah, like we're gonna hire Andy over you. I'm like, why? And they're like, he just knows basketball. I was like, I know basketball. I know the Atlanta Hawks. And they're like, name another team. I'm like, that's not fair.
Yeah, we were just trying to get him fired up.
And I have I watch basketball. I won big on Prize Picks last night. I won $75.
Oh, nice, man.
You Podnastics sponsored by Prize Picks.
I wish, man.
Everybody, they sponsor everybody, it seems like.
Prize Picks, if you're listening to this podcast, hit me up.
But hit me up first.
Who did I hit? Who did I bet on Leonard and Westbrook last night, and I won $75.
Nice, man.
Yeah, who'd you bet on? Loser? Oh, nobody, because you're a loser.
Yeah,
loser.
I had to quit.
How about you go back to Loserville with all the other losers, where you coach basketball for the loser leaves?
I had to quit gambling, man. I lost my money.
It's not your fault.
Went in the hole.
It's in your genetics.
Yeah.
It's in all our genetics.
Where are you at now? Tell us about what you do now. Besides Podnastics, like outside of it.
No, I do freelance videography. On top of that, I do social media and marketing for a couple different companies right now, between the CrossFit space and also the gymnastic space. But it's a constant reminder that I'm young, and while I do like what I'm doing now, there is more I want to do. I think I do want to get back into that film space a little bit and do something more on a production side. So, Grant, what do you do for work, man? Got a nice setup over here.
Oh, thank you.
Come on, angel investor, give me some money.
Well, I don't know. You were talking about that. I do have this idea. We'll have to for something I was wanting to put on. I kind of mentioned it to Hunter a little bit, but I'm kind of wanting to go a different way with it. But yeah, we might have to do something with it. I'll talk to you.
Yeah, we can definitely talk after this pod.
But
keep the tape rolling.
But what did you just ask me?
Yeah, what was it?
What do you do for work?
Oh, what I do for work?
I was like, wait, what did he
Yeah,
ask
we got
us?
off on that, and I didn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I got a construction company. I started a construction company in 2018, Stonecliff Construction, and I've built some custom houses, but mainly building spec houses and selling them. And I subdivided. I had 30 acres up here. I subdivided and developed.
So when you build a house now, do you be like, yeah, listen to my podcast, I'll give you $10 off?
Yeah, well, I haven't got one done since I started the podcast 2 months ago. But yeah, that's what I'll be doing probably.
That's awesome.
But also, I'm in real estate as a auctioneer and a broker. I'm with Amonette's Eagle Auction and Realty. If anybody needs anything sold, I've got you covered. 931-267-1968.
Giving your full legal number out there is crazy.
It's everywhere anyway.
That's fair.
That's what happens when you're in real estate. Everybody's got to have your number. You got to have it out there. I've been meaning to get a second number, but I don't even
So
have a
with
second number.
with auctioneering and all that, do you have one of those guys who goes, yeah, for $10, $10 here, $10, I got $15.
I knew he was going to ask
That's
that.
me.
Is it actually?
Yeah.
How fast can you talk?
I haven't practiced in a while.
Come on. Tell
Probably
me some of your book.
all right, I'll say this book. Probably not.
All right,
probably not good. Hold
come
on.
on, I'm ready to bet.
10 now, 20 now, 20 will give me 20, 20 now, 30 now, 30 will give me 30, 30 now, 40 now, 40 will give me 40,
$50.
40 now, 50 now, 50,
I got
50 now,
100.
60, 100 now, 110 now, 10 now, 10 will give me 110, 200 now, 3 now, 3 will give me 300, 200 now, 3 now, 3 will give me
$500.
500 now, 1,000 now, 1,000 sold. $500.
That was pretty good, man.
Yeah, it's all right.
I don't know. Here,
10 now, 20 now, 20 will give me 20, 20 now, 30 now, 30 will give me 30, 30 now, 40 now, 40 will give me
That's
40,
pretty
40
good.
now, 50 now, 50 will you give me 50, 50 now, 100
All right, now you're
100 will
just
give me 100,
showing
will
off.
give me 100.
Put it away. Zip your pants back up. Okay, I get it. It's pretty big. Gee.
Hey,
fun,
he
though,
was
ain't
the
it?
one who asked, wasn't he? He was the one who asked.
That's fun, though. ain't it?
Yeah,
No, that is fun to do, and but most of the auctions are online now, but that is fun to do when you get to do it.
yeah, so you get to just say that to yourself when you're doing it online. You're like,
Yeah,
no one can hear me, but the voice is in my head.
but no, it's great, and I'm trying to get more into the auctioneering side of it because I think I really like that part of it.
Yeah. So, not to hijack your podcast, but you did bring up Righteous Gemstones. Hunter, have you ever watched Righteous?
Okay, so
I got Hunter into it
funny
just
you asked.
like 3 days ago. He
So,
finally watched it.
I told Hunter to watch it like 2 years.
I know I should have. I think I was on a show or something, but he told me about it, so I watched it. Me and Savannah have watched 2 seasons, in 3 days.
Oh, dude.
It is so funny, dude.
And you know why it's funny? It's
because
Danny,
it's Danny McBride,
It's
Adam
Danny
Devine.
McBride.
and it's
Adam Devine is hilarious.
Adam
What is the guy's name that plays Baby Billy?
Yeah, it's Goggins.
Yeah, Walter Goggins.
Yeah,
So,
dude.
so he's on. Have you seen Vice Principals?
Yes,
with
dude.
Danny McBride.
Yeah.
Yes, dude. Them two together, he's just funny.
Dude, I love the Righteous Gemstones. I love their approach for taking on mega churches.
Yeah, that plot is like awesome.
I think
You
the
just don't-
funniest plot about Righteous Gemstones is the fact that, like, while some people might tune in and be like, man, like, this is so, like, they're exaggerating it. There are mega church, like Joel Osteen.
It's a thing. It's a
like
thing.
Joel Osteen is, like, to a lot of people
He's an inspiration for the show, basically.
Yeah.
And what else? And once again, like, you know, I'm never one of the persons to drag someone. I have actually listened to Joel Osteen. Dude, no, there's a radio station. Sometimes if I'm driving, I'll like tune it on. I'll be like, man, words of affirmation today. Affirmation. But no, but it is one of those where it's like, I see what they're doing when they're like trying to make like they're making jokes about how mega churches have celebrities in them, and McBride is just so good at what he does. But I would argue that Goggins as Baby Billy always outshines. Like, Baby Billy's Bible bunkers. Come on, woman.
Dude, he just flawless. Like if you watch Vice Principals and then you watch, then I watched that and I was like, man, he's so good.
Have you watched? So okay, so you're on season 2, so you're about to start season 3. Are you on season 4 right now?
I think I'm right at the end of season 3.
But there's new episodes coming out every
Yeah.
There's a new episode tonight.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
it's
'cause it's
season
the
four.
I'm trying to get caught
It's the
back
final
up. But no, I'm
season,
not.
dude.
I'm not there yet. But it's great. But honestly, we're talking about Danny McBride. I think his best work is still Eastbound and Down.
I mean, dude, how do you like? He's a really great actor because he has topped that. But there was a moment where, like, I think I watched Eastbound and Down for the first time, and I was like, how do you ever beat something? What is the name of the sidekick from Eastbound and Down? Kenny? Is it
Yeah,
Kenny?
yeah, Kenny.
The episode where he's gonna throw the pitch and Kenny is just like interrupting Daryl from The Office. And he's like, "Who are you?" And he's like, "Who am I? Who are you?" I can't remember that actor's name, but he has also appeared in Righteous Gemstones every once in a while.
Dude, the cast of Righteous Gemstones is just like banger after banger.
Oh, yeah.
Every time like somebody new would come in the first season, I was like, when me and Sven are watching, like, babe, oh my god, look, you know, it's
A-listers.
awesome. Yeah, just all A-list.
So what's the button I push if I have to go use the restroom real quick?
You just tell Hunter and
Push,
he'll
push, push.
cut
Yeah,
everybody
I usually
off.
do that, but we're 3 minutes away from
Let's-
my
let's-
bathroom break.
Let's pause it right here.
Yeah, pause.
All right, we're back after a short little break there. Hunter's hourly break.
Hey, Jacob called for that. I was doing pretty good.
I did. Like I said, I don't do hour-long podcasts anymore because sometimes I don't want to use the restroom and make it sound like I'm cooking a turkey.
You just got to do like the some of them truck drivers do and cath yourself and,
Oh yeah, man. If I
and just sit through it.
if only.
That's what we're gonna have to start doing with Hunter. I mean, he's every hour on the hour.
Every hour on the hour.
Yeah,
He pees 24 times a day.
we'll be an hour in, and Hunter will just give a face where it's like,
Drink a lot of water.
yeah.
So anyway, to get back at it here, so a couple questions to kind of end on. What advice would you give someone getting into gymnastics for the first time, and what advice would you give somebody getting into podcasting?
So, starting with gymnastics, I will say that gymnastics is a sport for the young. I know it seems enticing. I'm a firm believer that the best years for gymnastics is when you can start the youngest. Gymnastics is definitely not an old man's game, but I will say that there are outlets for gymnastics. Like if you are into CrossFit, there's a great portion that is dedicated to gymnastics with bar work and rings and muscle ups and whatnot. There's actually a really great CrossFit company called Power Monkey where they hold a fitness camp in Crossville every year called Power Monkey Camp. If you happen to be into CrossFit at all, you should definitely look that up. But gymnastics, I think the first thing to note about gymnastics is it's like any other sport, but it is just more dedication. When I was a gymnast, and I got really serious about it, I was spending close to 5 hours a day in the gym for a total of like 6 days a week at times, because it's just such a dedication for your body to like have the muscle memory of what it feels like to be on each event, because there's 6 events. So, man, and I'm thinking about it. It's like, man, that's a tricky question. I would say if you happen to have a son or daughter and you were wondering about getting into gymnastics, I would start them a little younger. But there are just people out there who can go and start gymnastics at 15 and they'll get a college scholarship. I've seen it before, and it could never be me. With podcasting, the most important thing is you need to have an anchor for what your podcast is. What is it about? What are you doing with it? For Podnastics, it's about giving gymnasts a story. For you, it's allowing your community to get to tell who they are and speak a little bit, and I think once you have that anchor of what you're trying to do with your podcast, it comes more naturally. For me, I think even if I were to, and I've never had this, if I were to even have like a guest on who wasn't exactly great, it still is Podnastics. I still gave this guest an opportunity to come on and tell their story. And that's the most important thing for me. Is it's not sponsorships. It's not any of that other good stuff. Like, don't get me wrong. If you can turn a podcast into profit, that's awesome. Please tell me your cheat codes. Is it, because I think there's people who start a podcast and immediately they start looking at the numbers. They're like, I don't have these many followers on social media, and I didn't get to, like my episodes are already only getting these amounts. I did a podcast that I was never probably going to get money from, Jake's Review Corner, and I got some sponsorship offers right before I kind of just ceased production of it. But ultimately, I was doing that podcast because I wanted to bring my friends on to talk about movies, because I love movies. With Podnastics, I give that opportunity to some of my gymnast friends to come on to tell their stories, because they're not going to have another outlet for it. So you need to identify an anchor. You need to identify what is the reason you're having a podcast. Are you just BSing with the boys, or are you trying to do something else? And by the way, BSing with the boys is always a great podcast. For me, one of my biggest inspirations is a podcast called Inside of You by Michael Rosenbaum. He is a former actor. Well, he's not a former actor. He is still an actor, but he played Lex Luthor on Smallville. He now has a podcast where he brings on a ton of his celebrity friends and new people to come on. He's had the likes of Kevin Smith. He has had Steve-O from Jackass. He's had bigger names like Jenna Fisher from The Office, And those episodes are always about getting to know who these actors are outside of the characters they play. And that's also a big inspiration for what I do on Podnastics. So yeah, that's my answer.
Yeah, you definitely don't need to start or if you're starting a podcast to try to make a profit, you're doing it for you're not going to, I feel like you're not going to be successful, because people can tell if something's authentic or not.
Yeah.
And you got to do it for you.
And I think it's great if those come later on. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, we have reached out about potentially getting some sponsors for Podnastics, but that is because it's like, hey, we love doing this. It'd be so great if we had a little income coming the way. But
oh yeah, I mean, that's the dream.
Yeah, that's the dream.
That's the dream,
to make a little money that way. But however, it's just not, at the end of the day, something that's gonna, if we don't get any sponsors, we're not gonna end the show, And, I think if you want to start a podcast, you have to identify your anchor. And I will tell you this, get a co-host. It will make your life easier. While earlier in the podcast, I did say I'm the host and Marsha's my co-host. We co-host the show together. I could not do Podnastics without my friend Christian Marsh. And I'm sure deep down inside, you probably wonder to yourself, do I need Hunter?
No,
sure you do. He's going to get you the Roethlisberger, apparently.
I'm the occasional co-host.
He's going to get me Roethlisberger and Simone Biles.
Yeah.
Imagine. Now, Roethlisberger, it could happen.
Who knows?
Simone was probably a stretch.
Yeah, a little bit.
But Roethlisberger, when he's settled down, camp starts, things start to settle down at camp, we'll get him on.
I like having Hunter on. He's welcome on anytime, because he's a good co-host.
Yeah.
I enjoy it, man. It's fun.
He tries to steal the spotlight with his big 6'6" ass, but he's He's a good
You're in
co-host.
the big chair.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I'm in the big chair.
Well, he's the host,
the
buddy.
king chair.
What's the podcast name? It's not Red Hour by Hunter Crotch.
So
That's what I told Hunter. Now that's funny. That's funny you said that. I said, Hunter. I said, if you get Simone Biles, I'll rename the podcast Hunter Stories.
yeah, that was what 2-3 years ago when I came with you.
That was going back all the way to the beginning of this podcast. Was when Hunter really got into the podcast. He pitched me a podcast. And he actually performed a podcast for me with our friend Andrew Reeves. They performed what an episode would be like. And I looked at Hunter at the end and I said, Hunter, you could never make this podcast.
And I did.
I was like, who is this podcast for? I was like, you went in 9 different directions. And Hunter goes, yeah, because it's Rogan-esque. And I'm like, no, it's not.
That was my dream. I was like, I want the next Joe Rogan podcast right here.
And I said, Hunter, nobody knows who you are.
It was going to be.
Yeah, everybody wants to be Joe Rogan, but nobody out there is Joe Rogan.
I will actually say one more thing about this is this podcast, Hunter's presentation podcast, was given to me against my will at like 11:30 at night. We were in a cabin together, and I think I said twice to Hunter, I was like, please shut up. I want to go to bed. And Hunter was like, now hold on. Andrew, I think, when you think about sport, I was just like, can you shut up for a minute? I really want to say thank you for having me on the podcast today. Like I said, I've never been a guest. I see why your episodes go so long because it's so much fun just to be BSing with the boys.
Yeah, that's kind of the vibe. Even with, I've had these business owners on. I mean, people I didn't even know, some of them.
I don't know you, Grant.
And don't know you either. But it's just like we always get that vibe.
Yeah.
I feel like that we're just kind of laid back.
Yeah.
And it's easy when you're letting people talk about themselves too. If they're just talking about themselves, who knows you better than you?
Well, once you get 5 minutes in, like I forget that we have the headphones.
Yeah, and you
microphone.
were talking about that earlier, like easing a guest into it. You really have to. It takes probably, I feel like, 15 or 20 minutes to really get going smooth like we like to go.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you for coming on. It's been great. It's been great to meet you. And
yeah, man, I would definitely would love to come on again at some.
Oh yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah, you're gonna be back this summer. We'll probably have you on again.
So
we'll go to the movie and we'll do a movie review.
Oh yeah,
we'll do a movie review and a theater review.
Yeah, he'll do the. Yeah. You need to give like your opinion.
We brought a Southern boy from Atlanta, Georgia, to our small movie theater.
What's it called? Castle Cinemas. Ain't that what it's called?
Yes.
Yeah, Castle.
But they're about to see a very giddy 27-year-old guy in there.
You'll be 28 by then.
I will be 28, man. Oh my gosh.
We'll take you back to 8.
Yeah. Take you back 20 years.
So how do you end a podcast, man? I always feel like I never get to the not to say I haven't listened to yours.
Everyone that I've been on has been natural. I mean, me and Grant, like when we end, we're like, dude, that was just.
Do you have a closing statement you say?
I usually say, thank you everybody for listening and subscribe to the podcast. Listen to all our other episodes and have a good night.
Let me try that real quick. Thanks for listening to my podcast, Not Hunters. Please subscribe to my podcast, Not Hunters. And if you really like us, remember to rate us on Spotify and Apple Music. If you would even like to give us a review, make sure to say hashtag Not Hunter Crotches Podcast.
And if you would like to sponsor us, hit us up.
Yeah.
we will gladly we'll talk about you. We'll do a whole podcast on you if you want to sponsor us.
Yeah.
The whole episode.
For the right price, we'll rename the show after you for the right price.
So you already did a closing statement. So real quick, you got to do a new one real quick. How are you ending this podcast?
Thank you everybody for listening. Have a good night.